Bom, estamos quase a terminar esta quarta edição do Connecting Healthcare. Este longo dia de muita partilha e muitos conhecimentos. Espero que estejam a gostar. Mas ainda vamos ter tempo para a última palestra do dia. Vamos falar sobre a investigação ao serviço da humanidade. E para moderar esta conversa, chamo ao palco Sérgio Almeida, fundador do SIL Group, para quem peço uma salva de palmas. Sérgio.
Aqui. Eu vou pôr aqui.
Nós vamos contar com a participação via Zoom de Benjamin List, Prémio Nobel de Química 2021, é pesquisador principal do Instituto de Descoberta de Reações Químicas da Universidade de Hokkaido. A pesquisa de anticorpos catalíticos tem sido uma parte fundamental do trabalho do investigador. Sérgio, passo-te a palavra. Obrigada.
Muito obrigado. Muito boa tarde a todos. É um gosto enorme estar aqui hoje, mais uma edição do Connecting Healthcare e depois deste painel inspirador, realmente que nos trouxe muitas flores também e, no fundo, muita luz. Nós vamos ter agora uma intervenção de alguém que também acredito que vai trazer muita inspiração. Uma intervenção de alguém que ganhou um prémio Nobel e que é um gosto recebê-lo cá em mais uma edição do Connecting Healthcare. So, I wanna welcome Benjamin List and said it's a wonderful pleasure to have you with us. Benjamin List, welcome to Connecting Healthcare. Good afternoon.
Yes, I'm super happy and it's my great honor and delight to be with you at the Connecting Healthcare conference in Matosinhos.
Matosinhos, yes, the world's best fish. O melhor peixe do mundo, é assim? So, perhaps next year you can join us in Matosinhos. Benjamin, I know you are passionate about your work, about the things you do, your research. And winning a Nobel Prize, I think it's once-in-a-lifetime experience. So my first question is, for you as a researcher, also as a human being, what does it mean for you to receive the Nobel Prize, and how can it be used to help all of us, humanity?
Yeah. So, well, of course, winning such a big award means a lot to me. It's the biggest accomplishment one can accomplish in his whole life as a scientist. So, of course, this is a huge honor. What I would say, it's kind of interesting. I'm a scientist. I'm interested in basic research. I love catalysis and the science of catalysis and all the beauty that you can accomplish with it. Because catalysts, as some of you might know, are not used up in a chemical process, right? They enable all sorts of different chemical processes, but they're not used up. So that means a tiny little bit of a catalyst can accomplish a huge amount of something, a new material, for example, a medicine, right? And we are so deep into this basic research that we sometimes forget what is its use for humanity. But now with the Nobel Prize, of course, the reflection comes, and then I think about it, and I realize actually there is a lot that now, a lot of use for especially pharmaceuticals that came out of it. So with the technology that we have developed, antiviral medicines are made, for example, against HIV, and that's, of course, very rewarding to see.
It's amazing. All the impact this discover will have. And following to my next question, I would like to ask you if you can share with us what impact will this discovery have on the planet, the environment, bearing in mind that a large part of the world's GDP is linked to products whose manufacture involves this type of chemical process. Can you please share with us the impact?
Yeah. So, I mean, I already said it, like the fascination with catalysis, there's this scientific fascination with it, right? And also this, I have to admit, like my inner child loves catalysts because it's, I like to say this, as close to magic as humans can ever come. Think about it, a catalyst can convert one substance into another, but you don't need a lot of it, right? So a tiny little bit is enough. And I like to say it's one molecule away from magic, right? Magic would be just, I would say a few words or use a magic stick and make some interesting movements, and then the rabbit is converted into a bouquet of flowers, right? That's magic. But catalysts are almost magic, right? As close to magic as we can be. But this is just a boyish fascination with it, but there's two other very equally important fascinations with it, and one, of course, is economics, right? If you think about it, it's so beautiful if you have like a tool where you just need a little bit, and then this tool, the catalyst, can do its job 1 billion times. Right, or even more often than that. So there's the economics of it are immediately understood, right? You have something, you have a little bit, and you gain a lot. So and then of course the third aspect is the ecological aspect. A catalyst, by its nature, it doesn't leave any traces, right? So there's no byproduct of the catalyst, at least, and it doesn't contaminate the environment normally. And so that's of course an added value of this. And in my case, that's a very peculiar aspect of our types of catalysts that we have developed, these organic catalysts. They come from nature, right? So we have amino acids as catalysts sometimes, and these you can eat even. So they're absolutely non-toxic, they're totally renewable, you can isolate them from plants, from animals, from whatever you want. And of course, they're cheap and non-toxic, so that's an additional value for the environment, one could say.
Wow, it's you talk about magic, and I think this is all about also our conference. We have been assisting a lot of magic all of the day, and we talk about this impact we have with your discovery. And my next question is if you talk about magic, I always imagine you as a kid and young, and my question is, where does this passion about about chemistry and where it came from? Can you share with us, Benjamin?
Yeah, in my case, it was there since I was 11 years old, and it's mysterious to me how I became interested in chemistry, because I haven't had it in school then, right? I only got it when I was 12 years old in school, or maybe 13 actually. And when I was 11 years old, I reasoned that chemists understand everything, right? It's a very naive thinking, but it was my thinking, I have to admit it. So I thought the world is, I knew, or kind of knew, the world is made up of molecules and atoms, right? And they interact somehow. And chemists understand how molecules and atoms interact, so they should know everything. They should know the nature of humans and why we are like we are. So that was my interest. I was interested in philosophical questions. And then I started to build my own laboratory in the basement of a friend's house. And we started to experiment with concentrated sulfuric acid and with gunpowder and all sorts of things. And when I realized chemists do not know everything, it was too late. I already fell in love with it. And since that time, I'm very enthusiastic and passionate about chemistry. Yeah. Oh,
okay. So I was thinking about this garage thing, Rolling Stones, I think they started in a garage. Bill Gates, the guy from Apple, those things you have there. Yes, that guy. Also started in a garage, but he didn't start in a garage. He started in this beautiful building. It's the Terminal Porto Leixões, where we are going to come perhaps the next year to eat this wonderful fish. The chemistry of fish, we can do something about it here in Matosinhos. we have young people listening to you. We are all young here, starting with me. I'm just 47, but I look younger. And thank you for supporting me. Okay, I have friends here. So we have young people listening to you, and in our days, these generations, they are very interested about diversity and this connection between diversity and young generation. So my question is, how do you think we can encourage both diversity and young generations through science, in science? How can we connect them both? Can you share with us, please?
Yeah, so these are two questions, I guess.
Yes.
The first question for me is easy to answer. Like it's my general advice to everybody, and especially to young ones, and that is follow your enthusiasm, follow your heart. Right? Do what you're really passionate about. So I'm not. You notice I'm not saying do chemistry, because if you don't love it, you might not be. It might not be your fulfillment, and you might not become ultimately happy. And that should be, I think, our ultimate goal, right? Not in an egoistic sense, but also in an altruistic way, to be happy. So that's the first aspect. And then with regard to sort of this gender question and diversity, that's very important right now. Everybody speaks about it. In the Max Planck Society, my club, it's probably the #1 topic. We need to get women into the Max Planck Society. It's really like since, 15 years, topic #1. But we have to ask the question first, why is it important? I would argue it's not so much because of equality and justice and so on. That should not be the primary focus from the perspective of the Max Planck Society, right? Here, everything is about scientific excellence. And if you come from that angle, then you still agree that diversity is important because we want to tap into all different pools, all different human kinds. And I would say we cannot afford one type of human being, let's say women, or let's say people from, one particular country or one particular color of their skin, to not engage in science. We want to have all the intelligence of humans in the science. And so that's why I'm also very eager in having everybody participate, of course. But not in an artificial way. That's sort of my personal view about it.
Well, you talk about passion. We talk about magic. Before we were talking also about light and inspiring others and the heart and to love what you do and to be happy doing the things we like to do. And it's interesting what you say, that you support diversity not just because you are men or women or we have different colors or we are different, but just because you want to have a different pool of all intelligence you can find in humans. So it's the excellence, to go to the next level and to unite all this diversity. It's one of our issues of this conference, diversity and cooperation. So great people are also different people, but we can be equal or different. It doesn't matter if we are great. And that's why I also understand about your message. So we are going just to the end. This it's been a wonderful journey. Also a chemical journey with a lot of sharing about ideas, a lot of things here. So one of the things I would like to ask you just to finish our conversation is what message, Benjamin, would you like to share about this cooperation between science, people, and institutions?
What can you say about the cooperation between people, science, and institution? Okay, so what comes to my mind is the following. The way science, people and institutions around this general theme of science and progress of humanity is organized is in a pretty competitive way, right? If you think about it. I believe this comes from the history. When people were not connected with the internet, like we are now so easily connected. You're in Portugal and I'm here in Germany. One mouse click and we can see each other and have a nice conversation. It's almost like you were sitting here, right? But it wasn't like that several hundred years ago. And even just 50 years ago, it wasn't like this, right? And so everybody was separate and we had our own labs and we would do our own research and it was organized because of that. It is still organized in a competitive way. I do science, but in another lab in England, in another lab in Japan, in another lab in China, and in the US, they are doing exactly the same kind of research. And one can wonder, I wonder sometimes now, why we afford this work to be done on several places at the same time, right? It's kind of taxpayers' money we're using. And I like to think about a future where science is organized differently and more in a collaborative sense. And open, completely transparent. But for that, of course, there are a few more steps that we have to go. For example, we have to overcome this idea of nations and borders, right? And this kind of competition, which is kind of silly if you think about it, right? The challenges we face are global challenges. They really touch upon all of us, all of humanity. Why do we think, just the people a few hundred miles away are different or bad? They're humans like we are. We all are humans. And this is one planet. And it's so silly to still be so, so separate from each other. I cannot, like the wars that are ongoing and the suffering, it's so sad when we are just one kind of people. And I sometimes see a future in which science, at least, is done together to solve the problems we have, right? Would be nice.
Yes, I imagine that world too, when we can solve the problems with science. And you talk about magic, talk about passion, you talk about the future, planets, humanity, happiness. I almost can say that you were listening to us all of this day and event. You were copying us, Benjamin. So it was a tremendous pleasure to have you here with us, because I always believe that we can be better professionals when we are great human beings. I believe that we can really get to the next level of mankind and take this planet and do the best thing to our children if we can deliver what we have inside of us. And for me, this is a great pleasure to be here and also to be here talking with you after a tremendous, great journey we had here with tremendous speakers. They gave us, most of all, their heart, their passion, their soul. And I want to finish with a quote to you and to all of us here today from Mother Teresa. She said something I really believe it's very appropriate to end this conversation. Do ordinary things with extraordinary love. So this is what I really send it to you from Matosinhos to your hometown, from Portugal to Germany. We are all the same, one world, one life, one future. Thank you to be with us, Benjamin List.
It was great to see you, Sergio, and I wish you all the best for everybody.